we had some trade news come through yesterday. The trade deadline's just over a month away. So Adrian Wojnarowski and Shams Charania started to get heated up. They're shaking off the dust, getting ready to report on some more trades. And it was the New York Knicks and the Atlanta Hawks, which is surprising to see those two teams do business, because you would think that they don't want to help one another out. But Cam Reddish is heading over to the New York Knickerbockers along with a second-round pick via Brooklyn in exchange. Also Cam Reddish and Solomon Hill, who's out for the year with a hamstring injury, so he's not going to play, in exchange for Kevin Knox and a first-round pick, top 19 protected via Charlotte, heading to Atlanta as part of the deal. Now, BJ, we've spoken about Cam Reddish previously on this podcast, but why do you think the Knicks have made this move? Because they weren't one of the teams that a lot of people had down, and their roster, they didn't really give up. What's confusing to me is they've traded for Cam Reddish now, and they've given up Kevin Knox, who wasn't getting minutes in the rotation anyway. So where are they going to find the minutes for Cam Reddish? Does this mean there are more moves on the way?
Great question. And I think the Knicks' philosophy here, if I can try to incorporate the way they're thinking or take our audience inside, is anytime you can acquire talent or upgrade your talent, you do it. You mentioned earlier, Mo, Kevin Knox was not in the rotation. And sometimes it doesn't mean that a player can't play. It just means that that player maybe doesn't fit into the philosophy or the style of the current coach. That's why you make a trade. Kevin Knox is a very talented player. I happen to really like Kevin Knox. I liked him in college at the University of Kentucky. I thought his first year prior to Tibbs getting there, he showed flashes. And then suddenly Tibbs gets there and he just doesn't fit into Tibbs' style of play. Tibbs likes grinders. He likes guys who
defense. And Knox,
Todd Gibson
defensively.
And that's not Knox's, that's not his game. Now, a change of scenery is good for some players. I think this will be good for Kevin Knox. I think Kevin Knox needs a change of scenery. Clearly, he wasn't in the rotation there. Doesn't mean he couldn't play. He just wasn't in the rotation there. He was drafted in the first round in the lottery for a reason. Now we're going to get a chance. Hopefully, he will get a chance to play and show what he can do and why he was drafted, because he's still very young. I think when he drafted, he was the youngest player in the NBA. Yeah. Now, Cam Reddish, I think I don't see how the Knicks cannot afford not to play him now. And not only not play him, I think they got to pay him to justify this trade. Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to incorporate him in an already stacked lineup with wing players, in particular, RJ Barrett, who's had back-to-back 30-point games. His great friend who went to Duke University with him on the same team. Yes. You have Julius Randle. You have players, the kid Burks. Is it Burks? Yeah. Alex Burks. Alex Burks. Evan Fournier. Evan Fournier. When Derrick Rose comes back, Kemba Walker. So to me, there's going to be a logjam. Evan Fournier, like you mentioned, there's going to be a logjam. But I think Cam Reddish has to play now. So I think this puts the coach in a situation to figure out how to divide up these minutes. And more importantly, they got to figure out how to win games, because they are expected to get into the playoffs. I like the fact that the Knicks, Leon Rose, the front office, gets their business or tries to get their business done early and doesn't wait for the deadline like all other teams. I mean, you were inside the Derrick Rose deal, when he went to the Knicks, and that was done earlier than the deadline. I respect it, getting ahead of the curve. And, apparently the Lakers offered 2 second-round picks in exchange for Cam Reddish, and a few other teams were talking, but he's been unhappy in Atlanta for a while. He doesn't feel like he can grow into the player he wants to grow into being there, and it's completely understandable. He's got high ambitions, and obviously he's not high on the pecking order in Atlanta with, Trae Young, and then they've just paid, Herter and Bogdanovic and John Collins. So, also reportedly everyone in Atlanta is up for trade aside from Capella and Trae Young. So that's another interesting story we can get into, but I like Cam Reddish. I think he's a really talented basketball player. I think he hasn't had the opportunities he needs to succeed. I think he can team up with RJ, and I think they can
grow together well, because RJ has been playing really good basketball of late. The youngest Knicks player to ever score back-to-back 30 points in different games. And they're just 2/3 of the puzzle because their Duke teammate, one Mr. Zion Williamson, if he ever gets healthy again,
right,
I don't think he's trying to stay around in New Orleans. That's just from the outside looking in. But I mean, you see your two best friends in New York City.
It's a possibility. But while we're here, can we give a little love to RJ Barrett?
Of course. Let's do it. We had the Knicks UK fan club tweet us yesterday asking for the exact same thing.
Yeah, I think we should really highlight RJ Barrett over the last 2 games in particular, back-to-back 30-point games. And I think this is a great sign for New York fans when you start to see young players put together good games, in this instance, great games, and put together a string of like great play. And RJ Barrett was the 3rd pick in the draft. And I think now he's beginning to come into his own. What I've always liked about him is he shows up to the game and he competes on both sides of the ball. I've always liked that about him, always respected that about him. And now he's beginning to find his way on the offensive end. And by the way, he's a little better athlete than I thought, Mo. He's had some nice dunks in the last couple games.
He had a windmill the other night.
Yeah, I didn't even know. I didn't know if that was.
Listen.
I thought it was like Obi Toppin. I thought it was Obi.
I was like, just about to say he's been spending too much time with it. Because after that windmill, did you notice what he went up? He said something to Obi. He's like, I got you. So here's the thing with RJ Barrett. Like, I think he often gets forgotten because everyone loves to discuss the 2 players that went ahead of him in Zion and Ja because of Ja's excellence, and Zion's excellent when he's on the court, but obviously his injuries is a big topic around him. So I think RJ Barrett is slyly kind of creeping up the agenda. And what I love most about him is the way he's responded to the Knicks fans booing that team. Because Julius Randle, we discussed his response. But if you've noticed, this run of form since that incident has been all RJ Barrett. He's been the one on the team who has stepped up and said, let's try and win these games.
Yes.
I'm tired of getting booed. And for a young player on that team who's not a veteran to take that on his shoulders, I'm impressed.
I'm really, look, Zion is exciting. Ja Morant is just off the charts now. But you know what, Mo? Slow and steady wins the race. When it's all said and done, RJ Barrett is going to average somewhere between 17 and 22 points a game for his career. He's going to continue to get better. And I like the fact that he stepped into the fire when they got hot in the kitchen. He stepped in there and he didn't just say what's going on in there. He grabbed the reins and said, I can handle this. I can do this.
Full Gordon Ramsay. He took control of that kitchen.
The New York Knicks, clearly they drafted the right player at that position. Yeah, they got a really great player. I don't know who he's going to be, but I'm going to say this about him now. Whoever he's supposed to be, Mo, he's going to be that.
Yeah.
And that's the sign of a great player.
He's going to be RJ Barrett. He don't need to be no one else.
He's going to be.
He's going to be
RJ
he's going to
be terrific.
So
and I love it. And I just wanted to point that out with the Knicks fans. Great job. They got a great player.
What I am excited for is Saturday night, this weekend, the Knicks and the Hawks go head to head. I don't know if Cam Reddish is going to be ready to suit up for that one. But if he gets on the court and drops sign, if he drops 20, 25, man, it's going to be very interesting.
Well, I know one thing. If he does, my phone will be ringing. And I know who's going to be calling me that night. And that'll be nice. The game in the game, the game inside of the game. We love
That's right. Well, tonight, let's look at some of the fixtures that we've got going on your Friday evening.